The Dallas Mavericks have been eliminated from NBA playoff contention just a year after making it all the way to the Western Conference Finals against the Golden State Warriors, led by Stephen Curry, and losing, of course. And this year they find themselves in 11th, eliminated from the play-in, and gonna have a top 10 lottery pick. Um, to be honest, when you trade for a superstar player like Kyrie Irving, the way that they did, and give up as much as you do to get a superstar player in what the market was after the Rudy Gobert trade, which was ridiculous, but we won't get into that. You have to you have to win games. Does losing, not even making the play in, is not an option for a team as good as the Mavericks, who were 29-26 before the trade deadline, and with Kyrie Irving, they've gone 8-12. He's only played 20 games. Um, it's not a big difference, or 30-31. Excuse me. With Kyrie Irving, they're 8-12. There's not a big difference. It's only a little under 500, but with them, it's a smaller sample size. But Kyrie Irving is one of the best players in basketball. Luka Doncic is one of the best players in basketball. If you put them both on a team and you can't win, clearly there's something fundamentally wrong with the rest of the roster, which isn't terrible. They've got guys like Christian Wood, who's coming off the bench for some reason. Josh Green is an okay player. Like there's okay depth on this team. They should be able to make the playoffs. Um, and it looks like the Kyrie trade is going to end up being a failure. There's not a whole lot of reason for him to stay around in Dallas. I think the goal of the trade was to get him and get him to stick around long term, but I don't see any incentive for him to do that. He's gone to Dallas and they've sucked. It's been by all accounts a failure. They missed the playoffs with two arguably top 10 players in basketball. That's not a thing that you can do and still consider it a good season. And if you're only getting Kyrie Irving for 20 games, um, you have to go back and look at what other options could have been. And last offseason, they let Jalen Brunson walk. They didn't even give him an offer. And Mark Cuban can bitch and whine to the media all he wants about how Jalen Brunson didn't even let me negotiate with him, which Jalen Brunson and his father both denied and said that the Mavericks just weren't interested in negotiating. For way cheaper, for way longer, albeit not as good as Kyrie Irving, but Jalen Brunson's been he's been an all-star caliber player this year. He probably should have been an all-star. He's been he's been amazing for the Knicks. He's gone for 35 minutes a game, 24 and 6. Like and he's only getting paid 26 million over the next 26 million a year for the next 4 years. So 104 total until 2026. You could have had that guy with Luka long term. Luka said the other day that when asked if he misses Jalen Brunson, he said a lot because the Mavericks let Jalen Brunson walk and then spent a ton of draft capital going after a guy on the Nets and Kyrie Irving who's only played 20 games. There is some concern with the Mavericks that Luka, because you're gonna lose Kyrie. I think that's a given here. You sucked with Kyrie, and a lot of people have been saying it's the defense. It's not just the defense. The defense was terrible. The defense was terrible, but that's not on Kyrie and it's not on Luka defensively. That's just not how you construct a team. I'm gonna be honest. Anyways, though, the so Kyrie's gonna walk, and then there's some real concern about that if the team does not drastically improve by next season, Luka will want to trade. And I don't know where he'd want to be traded to. I don't know what a trade for a player of Luka's caliber might look like. Probably want to reference possibly the Kevin Durant trade, but Luka's quite a bit younger, probably 10 years younger than Kevin Durant is. Um, so you have to you that's going to be a massive trade if that ends up happening next summer. But there's not a whole lot of options you can do to improve this team. You already traded away all your draft capital. You're going to end up getting a first round pick because you were so bad the Knicks won't get it. Um, and I mean, the draft looks good, but there's only so many. There's probably only 5 or 6 dudes that can really come in and make a difference right away for a team, and you're probably not going to get that unless you get a real break with the lottery odds. But to be fair, no matter what, you have Luka Doncic for at least next season. He's 23, he's going to be 24. He's averaging 32. One of the best players in basketball. He's in the prime of his career. You have to do what you can to build around him, and they've tried. They really have with guys like Kristaps and guys like Kyrie Irving, but it just hasn't worked. And it's very clear that it's not working. When you watch them on the floor, they don't play together. It's the same thing with Kristaps, the same thing with Kyrie. They don't play together. It's two separate dudes. There's no pick and roll action, which has been greatly efficient when they have done it. But it's just working separately off the ball with guys like Christian Wood. They just run around. Um, the Mavericks are bad. There's a reason the Thunder are ahead of them in the standings, and it's not even really that great a Thunder team, although they do look pretty nice at the moment. It's a bad spot to be the Mavericks right now. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a pretty terrible spot. They've got a lot of catching up to. Who are some upcoming free agents? Like, unless you really think you can get, honestly, James Harden. That's the only one. If you're going to get an upcoming free agent besides Kyrie Irving, Kyrie's are really the only one that Kyrie's the most likely. But unless like you somehow have to get James Harden, Russell Westbrook's not going to do anything for you. Chris Middleton, really not. They're not going to get Kristaps or D'Lo or Kevin Love or Vucevic or Draymond. Maybe Fred VanVleet's a good option to come in and replace them. But there's just not a lot of depth in this free agent class, and there's reasons for that. So Mavericks are bad. They don't have a whole lot of chance to get better. They don't have a lot of assets at the moment at all. And if I had to say right now, do I think Luka Doncic will be a Laker or not a Laker? I don't think he'll be a Laker either. But do I think Luka Doncic will still be a Maverick by the start of not next season but the season after? I would say no. I think he's got one season left, and they're going to come up short again, and he's going to want to leave because it's clearly dysfunctional. You don't have Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic and not make the playoffs and to not be dysfunctional. It's clear to everyone. We can all see it. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today. Like, subscribe, playoff start or play and start next week, so that'll be fun. I'll be talking about that, and peace.